Now let's talk about barricade shooting. Before we get into the actual research concepts and techniques for utilizing a barricade, I first need to explain to you the difference between cover and concealment. Here's why. When you're seeking out a barricade, the barricade should be something that's going to protect you from your assailant. Now, when you're seeking out protection from a barricade, that's when it's important to understand the definition for cover and concealment. Because cover, the definition for cover, is anything that will stop a bullet. A brick wall, a concrete wall, a metal wall, the engine of a vehicle. Whereas concealment is just something that will hide you from your assailant. For example, darkness could in fact be concealment. If your assailant is in a well-lit room and you're in a dark room and they're looking from light into dark, they can't see you. Now, this concealment will not stop a bullet, but it will prevent the assailant from seeing you. And the assailant will therefore not know you're there, and you have the element of surprise on your side. Plus, it's very difficult for any assailant to fire accurate shots on you if they can't even see where you're at. Concealment could also be something as simple as a curtain in front of a window. You can hear your assailant on the other side of the window, but they can't see you because you're behind the curtain. This would again give you the element of surprise, but you need to understand that it is not able to stop a bullet. Now, when you're trying to seek out a barricade, you are looking for cover. That's optimum, because a solid structure that will stop a bullet will also conceal you from your assailant. So you've got the best of both worlds, cover and concealment. Now let's get into the research. According to the FBI law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty with firearms research, over 50% of all police shootings are under 5 feet. Over 70% of all police shootings are under 10 feet. Over 80% of all police shootings, and again, this is over the last 40 years, so it's pretty consistent. Over 80% of all police shootings are under 20 feet. So if it's going to happen, it's going to be up close. Plus, according to the FBI law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty with firearms, over 50% of all police shootings occur during dark time hours or low light conditions. So it's going to be up close and it's going to be under low light, so you're going to have a tough time seeing your sights. Next, accepted practical training indicates that the average police shooting is between 2.5 and 3.5 seconds. So it's going to be up close. It's going to be under low lights where you can't see your sights or have a difficulty seeing your sights, and it's going to be fast, between 2.5 and 3.5 seconds. In a law enforcement setting, utilizing a barricade could be the engine of your vehicle, protecting yourself from an assailant. That's cover. Or if you're executing a search warrant or searching a building, it could actually be a concrete wall, a cement wall, a structural foundation wall, anything that will again stop a bullet. So you might find that in a building search or executing a search warrant on a building or a residence. In a civilian setting, there is a high probability of a shooting occurring in your home. So for the civilian, learning how to work the barricade can help you if you are involved in an armed encounter in your home. Now let's give you the concept. The concept that we're trying to work on today is to maximize your tactical advantage when you're utilizing cover and concealment. Now, to maximize your advantage when you're utilizing cover is to understand, first of all, where the term cover has been developed, from where it's been developed. Now, the term cover reverts back to when you were a kid. And when you were a kid and you were laying in bed and the monsters were coming out of the closets, if you pulled the covers up over your head, you were protected. The monsters couldn't get to you. And the tighter you had the cover wrapped around you, the more protected you were. Now, if you're in an armed encounter, whether it be a law enforcement situation or a civilian situation, and you seek out cover and you find something that's going to stop a bullet and conceal you from the assailant at the same time, you're going to want to get right up on that cover, right next to it, as close as you can. Because in the back of your mind, cover means I need to get it wrapped around me as tight as I can to protect me. When actually the opposite is true. You need to stand off the wall to maximize your tactical advantage while utilizing a barricade. Unless your assailant is elevated. If your assailant is elevated, such as in a military situation or a law enforcement situation where your attacker is on a higher floor, a higher level, or on a roof, then you have to get close up to the wall because they've got the angle on you. So to protect yourself, you have to get closer to the wall. However, in a situation of, for example, again, a residential situation or an interior building where it's only one story and there's no elevated area, you need to force yourself to back off the wall. Fight that programming that's in your head from being a kid. You need to stand away from the wall. And here's why. When you stand away from the wall, you can now maximize your tactical advantage when utilizing a barricade, because now you can be very fast and accurate. In other words, you're going to maximize speed, maximize simplicity, and increase your accuracy by standing away from the barricade. And I'm going to show you how in just a minute. First, let's return back to the fact that you need to fight your instinct to get right up on the wall. Okay? Because number one, you need to step back so you can maximize your advantage of your barricade and still be fast and accurate. And very simple techniques to utilize the barricade to your advantage. If you stay right up on the barricade, if you try and shoot around the corner, here's what you're going to end up doing. You're going to do this and you're going to stick the barrel of your gun. You're going to actually pull the gun out and you're going to stick the barrel of the gun beyond the barricade. Now this is definitely a no-no because you don't know what's on the other side of the barricade. If there's an assailant over there, they're going to grab your gun, they can disarm you. So you never want to stick the gun beyond the barricade, and if you're right up on the wall, you're going to be tempted to do it. And under stress, you are going to do it. So it's another reason why you need to stay off the barricade. Also, when you're this close, you have tendency to press the gun up against the barricade for stability. And if you press the gun right up against the barricade, when you pull the trigger, oftentimes the gun will jump off the barricade, and as soon as it bounces off due to the recoil, it ends up throwing a bullet off target. So you won't be accurate as well. Also, what if I need to swing around and shoot on the opposite end of the barricade? It's very difficult for me to keep it in my shooting hand and bring it around to this side and still look and be accurate. However, if I put it in my left hand, I can do that. Now, I've taken my gun from my shooting hand and put it in my support hand. And I'm still tempted to push the gun out beyond the barricade or press it up against the barricade for stability, which are two negatives, and I've got the gun in my support hand and not my shooting hand. And am I as accurate with my support hand as I am with my shooting hand? Probably not. These are reasons why you don't want to get up on the wall. Also, if you choose to shoot over the wall, you're going to be tempted to do what they do in TV. You're going to go ahead and be tempted to put your gun up here on top of the wall and use the wall for support. Once again, you never want to stick the gun out beyond the wall because you could get disarmed. Also, from this position here, you have exposed from here up on you. Now the bad guy doesn't need to see that much of you. You want to maximize your tactical advantage. By standing back off the wall, all the bad guy needs to see is the barrel of the gun and this much of your head. That's it. So don't give him any more to shoot at than you have to. And all of this can be avoided by standing back off the wall. Now, not only can all of that be avoided, but if you stand back off the wall, you still maximize the cover. The bad guy still can't shoot you. He still can't see you because you're behind the wall. And if you need to shoot to the right of the barricade, all you have to do is position your feet little more than shoulder width apart. Now, as long as your foot is not beyond the end of the barricade, you're protected. They can't see you. So you can't do this. However, you can bring your foot almost to the end of the barricade on that side, almost to the end of the barricade on this side, thereby maximizing your stability. Now, once you've got the good, stable platform from which to shoot, you can lock your wrists out. Okay, so you've got what we report to as the extended ready position, which is wrist and elbows locked, leaning forward into the recoil. Now from this position, I'm very accurate, very fast, even under low light, because I'm utilizing the concept of body alignment shooting, which means I don't have to align the sights. I'm aligning my body up on the target for accurate body shots. So from here, all I have to do is now lean out. I can engage the threat and utilize the barricade, maximize my barricade coverage as well. Also, when I shoot over the top of the barricade, all I need to do now is expose the barrel of my firearm and the upper part of my head so I can see right down the sights. For a front sight shooting technique for headshots over the top of the barricade. And if I need to shoot to the left of the barricade, there's no reason to transfer the gun to my support hand. From this distance, all I need to do is keep the same grip I do when I come around to the right and when I come around to the head, but just come around to the left. This allows me to be very accurate while at the same time maximizing speed, maximizing simplicity by minimizing movement. So let's recap. You need to stay off the wall. You need to prevent yourself from sticking your gun beyond the barricade because you don't know what's on the other side because they could disarm you. Also, you want to stop yourself from pressing the gun up against the barricade because when you fire it, the recoil will cause the gun to bounce off the barricade at the last split second, causing the bullet to be a little bit inaccurate when it moves towards the target. Also, if you're right up on the wall, you'll have a tendency to go over the top of the barricade, and expose too much of you to your assailant. And if you go to the left side of the barricade, you'll be tempted to transfer the gun to your support hand instead of your shooting hand, thereby possibly limiting yourself on accuracy. By standing off the wall, you accomplish all of those three concepts, all of those three techniques. You avoid all of that, and you maximize speed, maximize simplicity by minimizing movement. You can engage a threat to the right side of the target, over the top of the target, to the left side of the target without moving your feet. Once you stabilize your shooting platform, a nice wide stance without bringing your feet beyond the barricade, as long as you keep your feet inside the barricade, the end of the barricade, you have now protected yourself from the assailant. You've still got the coverage of the wall, the cover from the wall, and the concealment, and you have in fact maximized your tactical advantage while utilizing cover and concealment. It's important to understand the fact that utilizing a barricade drastically increases your chance of accurately, safely getting shots on target very quickly in an up-close situation under low light within 2.5 to 3.5 seconds.